Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to this special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. It is that time of the week again to count down the 10 hottest cards of the week. And guess what? Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate previews are in full swing now. And yeah, they are already starting to have an impact on some card prices. Plus, there's still many players trying to build new Commander decks around some of these cards that came from New Capenna, the main set, as well as the Commander decks. That's a key driver again this week for card price movement. We're going to dig into all the details in just a moment, but quickly before we get started, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pick up Streets of New Capenna products there. They have everything you see on the screen as well as the Commander decks. And they have a whole lot of other things on their website as well. Remember, if your order's over $100 or it consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. Also, whenever you use the Heroes promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated. So thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Number 10, Unlicensed Hearse. This is up 234 this week to 413. That is a 130% increase. This is a good time to let you know how we compile our top 10 every week. We look at two major pieces of criteria. The first is a percentage increase in the value of the cards. And secondly, we want to see a true increase in sales out there. So if you are expecting a card to be in the top 10 and it does not make it, well, it fell short in one or both of those categories this week. With that out of the way, let's talk more about Unlicensed Hearse. This is showing up in sideboards and main decks in a number of formats as a way to keep graveyards under control and give you board presence at the same time. In Pioneer, it's starting to sneak into decks like Grixis Vampires, Jund Midrange, sometimes Mono Blue Spirits and Jund Sacrifice as well. In Modern, I've seen this in Mono White Stoneblade. Legacy, it's in Goblins and Grixis Tempo. And this is also getting some Commander play too. It's in Shoryukai Genesis Engine builds and other decks both old and new. One of the other new ones, for example, is Evelyn the Covetous, and I have seen some using this as an upgrade to the Maestro's Massacre Commander deck, or putting it in builds around a card from there, and Hello the Painter. Number 9 is Nameless Race. This goes up 238 this week to 21.97. That is a 12% increase. Now, this does not see much play to speak of, but earlier in the week we saw a number of reserve list cards from the Dark heat up a little bit. Most have already calmed down, but this one's increase is still holding. Maybe it is the start of a buyout, something to keep an eye on. Number 8 is Hellcarver Demon. This goes up 253 to 1550. That is a 20% increase. This card recently got hot because a lot of players wanted to pick up a copy to put this in a new Commander deck around the Beamtown Bullies. Or in other cases, they might just want to upgrade the Riveteer's Rampage Commander deck if they're using the Bullies as the Commander. But now, there is another reason that people could be interested in this card because of Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate previews. It is John Arenicus Shattered One. It is yet another legendary creature that lets you give away creatures to opponents and goad them. Very similar in some ways to the Beamtown Bullies. Number 7 is Bruvac the Grandiloquent. The Jumpstart copy is up $218 to $30. That is an 8% increase. The copy from the list is up $445 to $31.99. That is a 16% increase. It was part of the list for Modern Horizons 2 and Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So this is a fairly popular commander, but this can be pretty devastating alongside a new card that came out recently, Lord Xander the Collector. I'm seeing this show up in many Lord Xander commander builds now. On top of that, there is a new preview card that could be pushing this at least a little bit. Let's take a look at it. Tasha the Witch Queen. Milling your opponents will give you more access to their instants and sorceries with Tasha. And on top of that, there's another reason that people might be interested in Bruvac the Grandiloquent right now. There is a series of Persistent Petitioner Secret Lair bonus cards that are being mailed out. They are pretty expensive currently, but if nothing else, they might have some people thinking about Bruvac again. Number 6, Parallel Lives, up 483 this week to 63.93. That is an 8% increase. Huge commander card. It's in a lot of builds, including Korvold Faker's King and Renanciri Inseparable. Those are two commanders that saw a good amount of support from Streets of New Capenna, and because of that, they are seeing more play in the format now. Beyond that, there's a lot of cards from that new set as well as the new commander decks that play well with Parallel Lives. Some examples of commander decks that are built around new cards and run Parallel Lives include Jinnie Fay Jetmir II, Jetmir Nexus of Revels, Agnes the Dragon's Lash, Jolene the Plunder Queen, and Zia Tora the Incinerator. If that's not enough to move the price of this card, we are already seeing cards that create or care about tokens in the Commander Legends previews. Here are a whole bunch of examples, 10 cards on the screen alone. I won't spend too much time on these new cards today, but if you are interested in reading them over, absorbing them a little bit, feel free to pause the video. You have Abdel, Adrian Gorian's Ward, Bane's Invoker, Battle Angels of Tyre, Ellen Harbury's Busybody, Irenicus's Vile Duplication, Guild Artisan, Cloakwood Hermit, Helson Emerald Dark Druid, Elminster, Miracle Lord of Bones, and a couple artifacts on this page, Dungeoneer's Pack and Noble's Purse. Number 5 is the only card to return from last week. It is Ledger's Shredder. It goes up 563 this week to 1703. That is a 49% increase. Now, this is one of those cards that is seeing play in a lot of different places, and that's why it's been so hot recently. Pioneer especially has been a hot format because players have been scrambling to build new decks and solve that format. Because if you want to get on the Pro Tour, you're going to have to play some Pioneer in a regional championship if you can get there to begin with. So in Pioneer, you do see this in Esper Greasefang, and Aspiring Spike was playing 4 copies of this recently in a Pioneer Is It Phoenix build. I've seen a lot of people doing that over the course of the last week or so too. Aspiring Spike was also playing 4 copies of this in a Modern Ledger Shredder Shadow deck, and that is another deck that seems to be gaining momentum on MTGO as well. Beyond that, I've seen this in Legacy Mono Blue Delver builds, plus players are trying this out in just a lot of decks in various formats, including Standard and Vintage. We'll have to see if it finds a stable role in those two formats. Additionally, it is turning out to be a popular commander card in a lot of different decks there, both old and new. Some of the new ones include Rafine Scheming Seer, Falco Sparrow Pact Weaver, Huiza Augur of Agonies, Lord Xander, Toulouse Clever Conductor, and also many players are picking this up as an upgrade to the Obscura Operation Commander deck, and others are putting this in builds from scratch around some cards from there. Kamiz Obscura Oculus, Tivit Seller of Secrets, and Oscar Rubbish Reclaimer. Number 4, Phyrexian Negator. The dual decks Phyrexia versus the Coalition copy is up 476 this week to 1973. That is a 32% increase. That particular copy only comes in foil. And the Urza's Destiny copy is up 910 to 2249. That is a 68% increase. Now, as you can imagine, this is currently seeing increased commander play. It is a good upgrade to the Riveteer's Rampage commander deck if your commander is the Beamtown Bullies. And of course, it's good in fresh builds around that card too. Plus, this is another card getting a push from that Commander Legends preview we saw earlier, John Irenicus Shattered One. Remember too, this is also a reserve list card, so it does not take too much to move the price. Number 3, Coercive Portal. This is up 1017 this week to 3368. That is a 43% increase. This is seeing more commander play now as an upgrade to Obscura Operation and in fresh builds around Tivit. Number 2 is Smuggler's Share, up 1192 to 4457. That is a 37% increase. And this is from the Obscura Operation Commander deck. But simply, this is a fantastic commander card in white just generally. It is found sure in fresh builds around a couple cards from Obscura Operation pretty consistently, Kamiz and Tivit, but it's also showing up in a good amount of commander decks, both old and new. Some other new ones include Giada Font of Hope, Ginny Fey, Rafine, Quiza, and Benny Brack's Zoologist. And number 1 is Ashling the Extinguisher, up $14.48 this week to $20.74. That is a 231% increase if you're doing the math at home. And this is an Eventide rare that's yet to be reprinted. If you watched the Market Watch on the weekends, you know that during that time period of Magic, there was a recession in the game and less packs were cracked. So rares from this time period, if they haven't been reprinted, tend to get a little spiky when people start paying attention to them. So why are people paying attention to this? Well, it is seeing more commander play now as an upgrade to Obscura Operation when Kamiz is used as the commander. And of course, it's also in builds around Kamiz from scratch too. This was mentioned as a good upgrade to the Obscura Operation deck recently on an episode of the Command Zone podcast, which could have brought some more attention to it. And that does it for our top 10 hot cards this week. Remember to join us this weekend for our regular episode of the Market Watch, where we deep dive into everything that happens in the secondary market. Until then, though, hey, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.